Today we're going to make tamales. This is a family tradition on my mother's side of the family. When we were children, my aunt, Tia Lela, and my grandmother, Mama Nina, and my cousins Olguita and Leticia, along with my sisters, we would get together and we would make an assembly line and make tamales for Christmas. So I'm going to show you the way we do it. Unfortunately, my granddaughter couldn't be with me today because we've had so much snow. We got snowed in, and so she couldn't come. So we're going to have to do it without her. So the first thing you're going to do is get corn husks, and you can get those at any market really, but they're just dried corn husks. They'd be in a bag. And you're going to soak the corn husks. You can soak them overnight or soak them for a while during the daytime, but just in a big tub of water. And then once they get soft and a little more pliable, you're going to bring them out and lay them out on towels. You want to make sure they're kind of dry, so just pat them dry so that the masa can stick to them. Now, masa is a cornmeal mix, and that cornmeal mix is what we'll spread inside the corn husks, and that's what kind of coats or creates like a dough inside the husk. So we've cooked the meat overnight, and you can cook pork roast is usually what we cook, and we cook it in a red chili sauce. And then once we get that meat all nice and cooked up, we put it into a food processor. You don't want to shred it too much, just so it's kind of chunky. So it looks kind of like this, so it's shredded with the red chili sauce. The next thing we're going to do is make the dough. This is a tamale masa mix, and the traditional way of doing it is to use this cornmeal mix, and we add baking powder and we add water. So we've got about three cups in here, 2 cups of masa, the masa, and then we're going to add the water to that and stir it up. We've got the baking powder in here as well already. I'll add another 1/3 of a cup of manteca. Now, when we were doing this as children, we would have it like an assembly line. So my mother and my grandmother, my aunts, would get together and they would make all of this part of it. And then we would be doing the ones that we're having to put out. We would be the ones having to put out the corn husks and make sure they were dry and lay them all out. And then we're going to stir that up. Tia in Spanish means aunt, so she was my Tia Lela, my aunt Lela, and Mama Nina was my grandmother. That means godmother, so she was my grandmother and my godmother. So that looks pretty good, actually. Okay, so now we would take the masa. You want to take kind of a flattened knife because you want to make sure that it's spreading evenly, but you can see when you start to spread it that it just lays down across and you just smooth it out. And you can decide however you like it. Some like really thick dough in theirs, others like it kind of thin. I'm kind of, I would say, right in the middle. So you spread that on to your corn husk. Now when you lay these corn husks out, they are soft and pliable, but sometimes they're in pieces. Like these are 2 small pieces, and that's fine. You just kind of overlap the pieces, and the masa will just kind of hold that together. So you want them about this wide, 4 or 5 inches across, so that you can have a good way of folding it in there, and you've got a lot of surface to add your dough to. Then we would add about a tablespoon of meat into the center of each one. So now I'm going to take this and fold it up. And then this part comes over, and this comes over and meets it in the middle. And there you have it. There's a tamale. Now when we get all of these done and folded up, we're going to put them in a pot and steam them. And that's one of the memories I really have of them, that steam just coming off, and they would cook most of the day. We're going to fold these over, and then we're going to take our tamales, and we're going to take them over to the stove, and then we're going to put them in the roasting pot. We use a big roaster, and inside the roaster you can place a rack to put the tamales on. We used to use spoons when I was a child. We would just line the spoons up like so, so that the tamales never sit in the water. They just sit above the water. My grandmother used to use stones. We had special stones that we used for making the tamales. The way you would tell they were done is when you would peel them back and the masa would pull away from the corn husk, and you would know that it was the right consistency and it was done. And that's how you make tamales. And that's what we're having for our Christmas dinner tomorrow night, and along with some rice and beans, because that's what a wise grandma would do.